On a cold Portland evening, a billionaire walked into his own restaurant disguised as a nobody and discovered a secret that could have destroyed a life. One trembling waitress slipped him a note that exposed theft, danger, and a threat against her sick younger brother. She had no idea the man she was begging for help was the only person powerful enough to save her. What followed was a night of betrayal, fear, and a truth so explosive it forced them both to run for their lives. Stay with this story because one decision in the shadows will change everything you think you know about love, courage, and fate. If you saw a man in worn jeans and a thrift store flannel step out of a yellow cab on a rainy Portland night, you'd never guess he could buy the whole block with a single wire transfer. That was exactly why Ethan Callahan chose those jeans. His Italian suit hung untouched in the walk-in closet of his Forest Heights penthouse. The gold watch from his board lay locked in the safe. He stared at his reflection one last time. No pressed shirt, no cufflinks, just a guy in his 30s with tired blue eyes, a day's stubble, and a faded baseball cap tugged low. Tonight, the billionaire owner of Northwest Bistro was about to walk into his own restaurant as a nobody. Outside, the air smelled like wet pavement. A cab splashed to the curb when he lifted his hand. The driver, an older man with a gray mustache, glanced at him in the mirror. "Where to, my friend?" "Downtown," Ethan said. "Northwest Bistro on Alder." The driver whistled softly. "That place is fancy. You celebrating?" "Something like that," Ethan replied. As the cab rolled down from the hills into the city, the lights of Portland blurred in the rain. For years, Ethan had moved through these streets behind tinted glass, slipping in through back doors, greeted by managers who never let a single complaint reach him. 2 weeks earlier, an anonymous email had landed in his personal inbox. "Your people aren't who you think they are." The writer claimed the manager was skimming money, humiliating poor-looking customers, and threatening staff. It ended with one sentence that refused to leave Ethan's head. "Maybe you're too far above us to see what's happening at ground level." He intended to change that. The cab pulled up outside Northwest Bistro. From the sidewalk, it looked perfect. Warm, golden light, couples leaning over wine glasses. The kind of place lifestyle blogs loved. Ethan paid in soft, folded bills and walked in. There was no red carpet treatment, no manager sprinting to greet him, just the hostess stand and a young woman scrolling her phone between guests. She glanced up with a thin, automatic smile. "Table for..." Once, she grabbed a menu. "This way." As Ethan followed, a well-dressed couple stepped in behind him. Instantly, another host hurried over, taking their coats and asking if they wanted their usual corner table. Ethan felt something inside him twist. He was led past the warm bar and the cozy booth straight to the worst seat in the house, a tiny metal table jammed beside the swinging kitchen door. Every time it opened, a blast of clattering dishes and shouted orders slammed into the dining room. This is how you treat people who don't look like money, he thought. The chair squeaked when he sat. He opened the menu he himself had approved and realized his hands were shaking, not from fear, but from anger. A male voice cut through the noise. "Maya, that corner's yours tonight." Ethan looked up. She walked toward him with an order pad in one hand and a water pitcher in the other. Her name tag read Maya, but her eyes told him more than plastic ever could. Warm honey brown, sharp, like she'd learned to read danger and kindness in one glance. "Hi," she said. This smile was different, soft and real. "Welcome to Northwest Bistro. I'm Maya. How's your night going so far?" He hadn't expected anyone to actually care. "Better now," he heard himself say. She let out a small laugh. "Let's keep it that way. Want to start with something to drink?" He ordered a Coke. While she walked away, Ethan watched the man who could only be the manager. Early 40s, perfect haircut, black shirt, Derek Whitmore. Ethan knew his resume and his sales numbers. He'd never seen how Derek behaved when the owner wasn't supposed to be watching. Derek moved through the dining room like he owned it, touching shoulders he deemed important, ignoring the rest. When his gaze landed on Ethan's table, his jaw tightened. "Maya," Derek called, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Make sure that guy pays before his food comes out. Last thing we need is another walkout from the cheap seats." Cheap seats. Heat crawled up Ethan's neck. His restaurant, his name on the lease. His rule, repeated at every manager meeting. Everyone who walks in gets treated with respect. Maya's jaw flexed, but her voice stayed steady. "Of course, Derek." She came back to Ethan's table, lowering her voice. "I'm really sorry about that. He shouldn't have said it like that." "It's fine," Ethan lied. What he really wanted was to fire Derek on the spot. Instead, he watched Maya's hand tremble around the glass as she poured his drink. "Are you ready to order, or do you need a minute?" she asked. "Wow, I'll have the steak tacos," he said, choosing the dish based on his grandmother's recipe. "With the charro beans." Her expression warmed. "Those are my favorite." "Great choice." She set a folded napkin by his place, her movements smooth from 1,000 repetitions. That was when he felt it, the tiniest scratch of paper against his fingers. Maya's gaze flicked toward the bar where Derek stood, pretending not to stare. When she looked back at Ethan, the brightness in her eyes had dimmed into something rawer. Fear, desperation. "Your food will be right out," she said too quickly. She walked away, shoulders squared like she was forcing them not to shake. Ethan stared at the scrap of paper half tucked under his napkin. His heartbeat drowned out the kitchen noise. He waited until Maya was across the room, joking with a family near the windows, before he slid the note into his palm. It was a torn corner of an order pad, blue ink bleeding into the fibers. He unfolded it, expecting a complaint about tips, maybe a phone number. What he saw punched the breath from his lungs. "The manager is stealing. He changes prices in the system, keeps the tip money, and brings dangerous men after hours. He says if we talk, he'll hurt my little brother. I have proof, but I'm scared. If you know anyone important, please help us." Ethan read it again, slower this time. "Stealing, dangerous men, my little brother." He looked up and found Maya across the room. From a distance, she looked like every efficient server in every busy restaurant, topping off water, smiling at a child, balancing too many plates. But now he noticed the tension in her shoulders when Derek passed behind her, the way her smile flickered when he spoke to her, the tiny flinch in her hand. She had placed her entire life and her brother's into the hands of a stranger at the worst table in the restaurant, and she had no idea that stranger was the one man in the building with enough power to turn her nightmare upside down. As you picture Maya pretending everything is normal while Ethan holds that note, ask yourself honestly, in her place, would you dare trust a stranger like that? Yes or no? Ethan left the restaurant that night with the note burning a hole in his pocket. The rain had stopped, leaving Portland slick and shimmering under the streetlights, but he barely noticed. He walked for blocks without thinking, replaying every detail of Maya's face, the tremor in her voice, the way she had slipped the note to him so quietly it felt like a cry she wasn't allowed to voice out loud. Her brother, threats, dangerous men inside his restaurant. Back in his penthouse, Ethan didn't turn on a single light. He stood by the window overlooking the Willamette River and felt a heaviness he hadn't felt since his parents died years ago. He had built Northwest Bistro to honor them, to create a place where people felt safe, fed, respected. And now someone he hired had twisted that vision into something poisonous. By midnight, he made a decision. He pulled out his phone and called someone he trusted, a quiet, discreet investigator who handled private matters without questions. Ethan didn't mention names yet, not until he had proof. The next afternoon, he walked back into the restaurant in a new disguise, faded construction overalls, boots scuffed with dirt he smeared himself, a baseball cap pulled low. He kept his head down entering the dining room. Perfect. Derek barely glanced at him. Maya did. The second she saw him, something in her posture softened. It wasn't recognition of who he truly was, but recognition of someone who had read her silent plea and returned anyway. She handed him a menu, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for coming back." "I wasn't going to disappear," Ethan replied. Just then, Derek walked by, and Maya's shoulders tensed again so sharply Ethan felt the jolt in his own chest. Derek shot Ethan a look as if trash had washed up in his dining room. "Make sure he pays up front," Derek said loudly. "We don't run a charity here." Maya flushed with embarrassment. Ethan kept his expression neutral, but inside something was shifting. A controlled, cold fury was replacing any uncertainty he had left. When Maya brought his drink, he said quietly, "Are you safe today?" Her breath caught. "For now, but he watches everything. He has people outside my house." Ethan's jaw clenched. "Your house?" She nodded once, fear she tried to bury rising to the surface. Different cars, same men. Noah sees them sometimes from his bedroom window. He's 17, but he's sick. He's already fighting enough. Noah, the brother she was trying to protect. Ethan leaned forward. "Maya, listen to me. I won't let anything happen to you or him." She blinked, startled by the certainty in his voice. "Why do you care so much? You don't even know me." He couldn't tell her the truth yet, so he spoke the truth he could offer. "Because no one should be living under threats in a place where they work. And because your note wasn't just information, it was courage." Maya looked down at her hands. "Courage doesn't mean much if nobody helps." "I'm helping," Ethan said gently, "but for now we need to talk somewhere safer." She hesitated. "Tonight, Riverstone Park, 8 o'clock, by the main fountain." He nodded. "I'll be there." She stepped away, but not before he saw it again. The flicker of fear beneath her warm exterior. A fear she tried to hide from every customer except him. That evening, Riverstone Park glowed with string lights and golden reflections off the fountain's surface. Families strolled by, couples shared ice cream, joggers passed in headphones. It felt too peaceful to match the tension in Ethan's chest. Maya arrived exactly on time, wearing a pale sweater and gripping her phone like it was a lifeline. She sat at the far end of the bench. "I shouldn't have come," she whispered. "If Derek finds out." "He won't," Ethan said. "This is between us." She drew a shaky breath. "I didn't tell you everything." "I figured," Ethan said softly. "Start wherever you need." She looked out at the water, her voice trembling. "My brother Noah has leukemia. I took the job at the restaurant because the insurance is better there. At first it helped. Then Derek started asking me to cover night shifts. I thought it was extra money. Instead, those nights were for meetings." "Criminal meetings," Ethan murmured. Maya nodded. "Men with no names, no receipts, no reason to be there. After hours. Derek made me serve them. Then he told me if I talked, they'd go after Noah. And I believe him." A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly. "I feel so stupid. I thought the job would save us. Now it might destroy us." "It won't," Ethan said immediately. "I swear to you, not while I'm here." She turned to him then, eyes shining with something between fear and hope. "Why do you sound like someone who can actually do something?" He froze for half a second. Because he could do everything. But he couldn't tell her that. Not yet. "Because I'm not afraid of Derek," he said instead. "And because you trusted me when you didn't have anyone else." Maya studied him for a long moment, searching for something in his eyes. Whatever she found made her exhale slowly. "I have proof of what he's been doing. Documents, photos, even recordings. But they're hidden at my house, and his men watch it." "We'll get them," Ethan said. "Tomorrow morning, before your shift." "That's too risky." "Maya," he said, voice steady, "your evidence is the only thing that can stop him, and I won't let you go alone." She closed her eyes for a moment, then nodded in surrender. "Okay." Ethan didn't walk her home. It wasn't safe. But before she left, she reached out, her fingers brushing his wrist. "Thank you," she whispered. As she walked away through the glowing park, Ethan felt something he hadn't expected. Protectiveness. Yes. Anger, absolutely. But underneath all that was something deeper and far more dangerous. Something that had nothing to do with disguises or investigations. He was starting to care. More than he should. The next morning, Ethan waited 2 blocks from Maya's house in a borrowed sedan and a new disguise. She slipped into the passenger seat with a pounding heart. "Let's do this before they notice I didn't take the usual bus," she said. They drove a winding route through side streets until reaching her neighborhood behind Brookridge. Her house was small, clean, and quiet. Inside, Ethan noticed everything at once. The medical bills on the counter, the worn sofa, the photos of a smiling teenage boy with hopeful eyes. Noah, the kind of kid who shouldn't have had to grow up so fast. Maya knelt by her bed and pulled out a shoebox. "These are the recordings," she whispered, "and the receipts he altered. I even took pictures of some of the men coming in after hours." Ethan opened the box and felt the weight of the evidence. This wasn't small-time corruption. This was a network. His restaurant had been turned into a playground for criminals. A car engine roared outside. Maya froze. "That's not the usual car." Ethan moved to the window. 3 dark SUVs rolled up slowly, too slowly, like wolves surrounding prey. He turned to Maya. "We're leaving now." "How? They're right outside." Ethan grabbed her hand. "Because I'm done hiding." As he pulled out his phone to make a single, life-changing call, Maya stared at him in disbelief. "Who are you, really?" she whispered. Rain hammered the roof. Footsteps gathered outside. Derek's voice shouted her name, and Ethan finally answered, just as he hit dial. "I'm Ethan Callahan," he said, "and I'm the man who's going to end this." As the door rattled under heavy blows, ask yourself this. If you were Maya and danger was closing in from every direction, would you trust him after hearing the truth? Yes or no? The pounding on the front door grew louder, each hit rattling the picture frames on Maya's walls. Derek's voice was unmistakable, sharp and furious, shouting her name with the confidence of a man who believed no one could touch him. Maya stood frozen beside her bed, the shoebox of evidence pressed to her chest. Ethan stepped between her and the door, his phone still in hand after placing the call that changed everything. "Stay behind me," he said, his voice steady, almost unnervingly calm. "You're really Ethan Callahan," she whispered. "The owner." He turned to her, his eyes full of something she didn't expect. Regret layered with fierce protectiveness. "I should have told you sooner, but right now all that matters is getting you and Noah safe." The lock finally snapped, and the door flew open. Heavy boots thundered into the living room. Maya gasped, and Ethan reached back, squeezing her hand just once. A silent promise. Then everything exploded into motion. Before Derek's men could advance down the hallway, 3 armed security officers charged in from the back entrance, sweeping the corridor with tactical precision. Maya didn't understand what was happening until she saw their uniform patches. They weren't criminals. They were Ethan's personal security team. "Secure the premises," one of them ordered. "Detain all hostiles." Within seconds, the intruders were forced to the ground, handcuffed and disarmed. Derek, red-faced and sputtering, was dragged inside by 2 officers who had intercepted him at the driveway. "You!" Derek spat when he saw Ethan. "You set me up! Do you know who you're messing with?" Ethan stepped forward, his voice sharper than Maya had ever heard. "With the man who stole from my workers, who threatened a sick child, who used my restaurant for criminal activity." He pointed at the shoebox in Maya's hands. "And with the woman who had the courage to expose you." Derek lunged as if to speak again, but the officers pushed him toward the waiting SUVs. As they loaded him and the others inside, Maya clutched the shoebox tightly. It was over. Almost. When the house finally quieted and the officers cleared the area, Maya sank onto the couch, trembling from exhaustion and shock. Ethan knelt down in front of her. "I'm so sorry," he said softly. "I never meant for you to carry this alone." She stared at him for a long moment, trying to understand the man kneeling before her. He wasn't the stranger from the corner table. He wasn't the disguised customer returning day after day. And he wasn't just the owner of a restaurant empire. He was all of them at once, and somehow he was the only person who had ever made her feel safe. "Why did you come back?" she whispered. "After the note, after everything?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Because I couldn't walk away from you. Not when you were risking everything to protect your brother. Not when you needed someone to believe you. And not when I realized that every time I talked to you, I felt more alive than I had in years." Tears filled her eyes. "But I lied too. I knew who you were. Noah figured it out. And I pretended I didn't because I didn't want to scare you off." Ethan let out a breath that was more laugh than sigh, full of tenderness. "You didn't scare me off. You made me stay." Before either of them could say more, Maya's phone buzzed. It was the hospital. Noah was stable, but his doctors recommended a more aggressive treatment plan. Her voice cracked as she apologized as if she needed to. "I can't even think about myself right now. He needs me." Ethan squeezed her hands. "Then let me help both of you." Over the next week, everything changed in ways Maya could never have imagined. Corporate attorneys from Ethan's company worked directly with the district attorney to file charges against Derek. Additional evidence from his seized computers revealed a full chain of illicit activity, confirming everything Maya had risked so much to expose. Ethan appointed a new general manager to Northwest Bistro, a woman known for integrity and compassion. Staff schedules were reorganized, salaries increased, and employee health coverage expanded. Most of all, Ethan ensured that Noah received the medical treatments he needed at one of the best oncology centers on the West Coast, entirely covered by a fund he quietly created in their name. But the most important change happened not in a courtroom or a hospital room, but between Ethan and Maya themselves. For the first time, they spent time together without disguises or secrecy. They walked through Riverstone Park and talked about everything they had held back for weeks. Ethan learned how Maya's mother taught her to be brave, even when she was scared. Maya learned that Ethan had grown up lonely despite his wealth, surrounded by people who loved his money more than the man behind it. And slowly, gently, something real grew between them. One rainy evening, Ethan stood outside Noah's hospital room holding a bouquet of bright sunflowers. "Why sunflowers?" Maya asked with a shy smile. "They always face the light," he said, even on cloudy days. When they stepped into the room, Noah's face brightened. His hair was thinning, but his smile was strong. "You're the guy my sister talks about all the time," Noah said, "the one who pretends to like hospital cafeteria food." Ethan laughed. "It grows on you." "No," Noah said seriously, "it really doesn't." The boy's humor, even in pain, struck Ethan's heart in a way he hadn't expected. This wasn't just Maya's little brother anymore. He was someone Ethan wanted to protect, someone he wanted to help see a future. A few months later, after Noah completed a round of treatment with strong results, they all celebrated together at the newly reopened Northwest Bistro. Maya wore a simple blue dress, And when she walked in, the entire staff applauded her bravery. Ethan had arranged nothing. The employees had done it on their own. Later that night, as the restaurant lights dimmed and Portland shimmered beyond the windows, Maya leaned into Ethan's side on the balcony. "You know," she murmured, "you went undercover to see how people treated customers. But what you really found were the people who needed you the most." Ethan kissed the side of her forehead. "No, what I really found was the woman who changed everything." They stayed that way for a long time, the night quiet around them, content in a peace neither of them had known for years. As their story reached its soft, hopeful ending, ask yourself this. After everything Ethan and Maya went through, after every risk they took for each other, do you believe love built on trust and courage can truly change a life? Comment below with your answer and tell me how this story made you feel. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, tap the bell next to the subscribe button so you never miss a new story, and share this video with someone who loves emotional, heartwarming endings. And before you go, tell me, you're watching from which country?